for California's open U.S. Senate seat takes a big turn a week from Tuesday in the primary. The top two candidates will emerge from a field of 34 to compete in a runoff this November. KCAL 9 political reporter Bryan joins us now with a look at one of the leading candidates, Representative Loretta Sanchez, who she says is really kind of an outsider in this race. I'd like to hear that explanation.
Well, she kind of wants to have it both ways, because in her ads, they kind of say she's an insider, but she's an outsider. You'll see in just a minute here. It's been nearly a quarter century since the last open Senate seat from California, so whoever's elected could be representing the state for a long time. Orange County Congresswoman Loretta Sanchez is presenting herself to statewide voters as a Washington inside and outsider.
My daddy always wanted to have 9 kids. He only got to 7.
One of the first things you learn about Congresswoman Loretta Sanchez, she's not shy.
Hey, how are you? Thank you so much for being here.
Some would say she's a character. Now Sanchez says she's ready to become a senator, and after 2 decades in the House of Representatives, she insists she's not the insider in her race with California Attorney General Kamala Harris.
I am the outsider. I mean, the insiders of the party had chose their candidate. They had chosen her. They had wrapped their arms around her. They worked to push people out.
At the same time, her campaign ads remind voters that Sanchez is a Washington insider with key committee appointments.
Named one of the most influential women in Congress, Loretta Sanchez is a senior member of the Armed Services and Homeland Security Committees.
First and foremost, I made the first major revision to the laws that govern our military with respect to sexual assault. Again, women, all positions in the military being open to women, eliminating don't ask, don't tell in the military, ensuring that we have a strong military for the future. All of those have been my bills.
But in one of the Senate debates, Sanchez took some heat from Republican Duff Sondheim for missing important Homeland Security Committee meetings.
She talks about her role in terms of Homeland Security, and I think it's great that she's on the committee, but it would be even better if she actually went to the committee hearing meetings. Because of 13 of the 18 meetings, she hasn't gone to those meetings. And there are people on that committee that said that she's never shown up there.
Both of those committees meet at the same time, but Nancy Pelosi believes that because I have the experience for both of those committees, and both of those committees need to know what they're doing, that she wants me in those positions.
They meet at the same time. They meet at the same time.
I'm a little confused because if you're not able to go to the meetings, then isn't that a pretty serious?
No, it's not. It's not a difficulty because I'm completely in touch all the time. And just because you're not at that particular committee hearing, you still are talking with your colleagues. Your staff is still there for you.
Cal State LA Professor Emeritus Jaime Regalado says Sanchez also has an image problem with some voters.
She's also made some gaffes in her political career that have come to kind of define her for some people, either as being kind of irresponsible sometimes, trying to hold a fundraiser for Gore at the Playboy Mansion.
Sanchez sometimes gets herself into other kinds of controversy as well, like this statement she made last December on politicking with Larry King, when she was talking about how many Muslims have been radicalized.
We know that there is a small group, and we don't know how big that is. It can be anywhere between 5 and 20% from the people that I speak to, that Islam is their religion. They want to put their way on everybody in the world. They are willing to use, and they do use, terrorism.
Sanchez's statement was not well received in some quarters.
It's unfortunate that someone like Loretta, who has had such a strong relationship with our community for so long, would say something that would put our community at risk, that would literally bring danger to our doors by inflaming and by adding fuel to the fire.
But Sanchez stands by her statement.
Nobody's been able to refute or show me something lower than between about 5 to 20% of Muslims worldwide.
Western European intelligence agencies estimated less than 1% of the Muslim population living there were at risk for becoming radicals.
I wasn't talking about Western countries. I was talking about worldwide countries. They're comparing apples and oranges. I said Muslims. To me, Muslims would mean Muslims in the world.
Well, there are also 3 major Republican candidates in the Senate field of 34, and they're vying to get into the November runoff by beating Sanchez. We'll report on their campaigns next week on the KCAL 9 News at 9 o'clock. So stand by, Elsa.
Okay, so between Kamala Harris and Sanchez, what is the dynamic between these two, and how is that going to play if there is a runoff? Sanchez has some power that Kamala Harris may not have behind her.
Yeah, and there are a lot of moving parts, too, if that's the matchup. You know, as we reported this week, Kamala Harris leads in fundraising, in endorsements, and in the polls, an 8-point lead over Sanchez in a poll this week. You heard Sanchez in our report just now call Harris the party's chosen candidate, although she didn't name her. And Harris is certainly favored to win. But there are some factors that might be favorable to Sanchez. Number one among them, Donald Trump. He's likely to draw record numbers of Latino voters who want to defeat him, and they'll come to the polls in November, and that could work in Sanchez's favor. Second, one recent poll showed Sanchez is running close to Harris outside of the San Francisco Bay Area. The problem for Harris is that despite being a 2-term state attorney general, she's still not that well known here in Southern California. On the other hand, neither is Sanchez outside of Orange County, even though, like I say, she is from Orange County. So there's, you know, it could be an interesting contest. I mean, Harris, no question, certainly favored to win.
Absolutely. Well, there's still plenty of time, so we'll see what happens. All right,
Okay.
Dave, thank you so much.